The rain fell in soft, relentless sheets against the window panes of Emily Carter's small Victorian house on Maple Street. It was the kind of autumn downpour that turned the world into a watercolor blur, where street lights glowed like distant fireflies and the air carried the earthy scent of wet leaves. Emily stood at the kitchen sink, her hands submerged in soapy water, scrubbing a single plate from her solitary dinner. At 34, she had grown accustomed to these quiet evenings. The house, with its creaky wooden floors and faded floral wallpaper, had been her grandmother's a sanctuary of sorts, tucked away in the quiet suburbs of Seattle. But tonight, the storm whispered of change, a subtle rustle in the wind that tugged at the edges of her routine. Emily dried her hands on a dish towel embroidered with tiny yellow ducks, a gift from her late grandmother. She glanced at the clock on the wall, 8:47 p.m. The news on the radio murmured about flooded roads and delayed flights, but she tuned it out, pouring herself a cup of chamomile tea. Steam rose in lazy curls, warming her fingers as she carried it to the living room. The fire she'd lit earlier crackled softly, casting flickering shadows across the bookshelves lined with well-worn novels and framed photos of happier times her with friends at college graduations. Her grandmother smiling in the garden, Emily settled into the overstuffed armchair, pulling a knitted blanket over her lap. She was midway through a chapter about lost loves and second chances when a sharp knock echoed from the front door. She froze, her heart skipping a beat. No one knocked at this hour, especially not in a storm like this. Setting the book aside, she padded to the foyer, peering through the peephole. Outside, blurred by the rain-streaked glass, stood a man and a little girl, huddled under a sodden umbrella that did little to shield them. The man was tall, his dark hair plastered to his forehead, carrying a duffel bag in one hand and holding the girl's free hand with the other. The child, no more than 6, clutched a stuffed rabbit to her chest, her wide eyes reflecting the porch light. Emily hesitated, her hand on the doorknob. Strangers in the night, it went against every cautionary tale she'd ever heard. But the girl's shivering form tugged at something deep within her, a maternal ache she rarely acknowledged since deciding, years ago, that her career left no room for a family of her own. With a deep breath, she unlocked the door and swung it open, letting in a gust of cool, damp air. "Can I help you?" Emily asked, her voice steady but soft, laced with the polite wariness of a woman living alone. The man looked up, rain dripping from his lashes. His face was kind, etched with exhaustion, a strong jaw shadowed by stubble, blue eyes that held a quiet plea. "I'm so sorry to bother you," he said, his voice warm despite the chill. "I'm David Reynolds. This is my daughter, Lily. Our car broke down a mile back. A radiator gave out, I think. No cell service, and the motel's closed for the night. We saw your light on. Could we use your phone, just to call a tow?" Lily peeked out from behind his leg, her rabbit dangling limply. She was a wisp of a girl, with tangled blonde curls and cheeks flushed from the cold. "It's okay, Daddy," she whispered, though her teeth chattered. "The bunny says it's an adventure." David knelt beside her, squeezing her hand. "It is, sweetheart, the best kind." He looked back at Emily, his expression earnest. "We won't stay long, promise." Emily's mind raced. The roads were treacherous. Walking back in this weather with a child was unthinkable. Her grandmother's voice echoed in her memory. "Kindness is the light that guides us home." She stepped aside, gesturing them in. "Come on, dry off by the fire. The phone's in the kitchen. You can call from there." Relief washed over David's face like sunlight breaking through clouds. "Thank you, really, you have no idea." He ushered Lily inside, closing the door against the storm's howl. The warmth of the house enveloped them immediately. Lily's eyes widened at the sight of the Christmas lights Emily had left strung along the mantel. Early decorations, a habit to chase away the September gloom. David helped her out of her soaked raincoat, revealing a pink sweater dotted with cartoon stars. Emily fetched towels from the linen closet, handing one to David and wrapping another around Lily's shoulders. "Sit," Emily said, pointing to the sofa. "I'll make some hot cocoa. Do you like marshmallows?" Lily nodded vigorously, her shivers easing. "With extra, please." "Bunny likes them too." As David headed to the kitchen, phone in hand, Emily busied herself with mugs and a packet of cocoa mix. She could hear his low voice, murmuring thanks to the tow service. "See ya tomorrow morning." Earliest. No rooms available anywhere nearby. She stirred the pot on the stove, the rich chocolate scent filling the air, mingling with the faint pine from the fire. This was temporary, she reminded herself. Just one night, a small act of grace in a world that often felt too hurried and hard. David returned, rubbing the back of his neck. "They're coming at dawn." "I hate to ask, but is there any chance we could crash on your couch?" "We'll be out before you wake up." Emily poured the cocoa, topping each mug with a generous swirl of marshmallows that bobbed like tiny clouds. "The guest room's made up. It's no trouble." She handed him the mugs, their fingers brushing briefly at his warm, calloused from what she imagined was manual work. "I'm Emily, by the way." "Emily Carter." "David," he repeated, smiling faintly. "And Lily, official taste tester." They settled by the fire, Lily sipping carefully, her face lighting up with each melt of sweetness. David watched her with a tenderness that made Emily's chest tighten. Fatherhood suited him, she thought, the way his eyes softened, his posture shifting to shield her from the world. Conversation flowed easily, like the rain easing into a drizzle outside. David explained they were driving from Portland to visiting family after a tough year. His wife had passed away 18 months ago, breast cancer, quick and cruel. Lily was his anchor, the reason he kept going. He worked odd jobs now, mechanics mostly, piecing together a life from the fragments. "I'm sorry," Emily said quietly, sinking into the armchair. "That sounds heavy." He shrugged, but his eyes betrayed the weight. "It is. But Lilia, she's my sunrise. Every day starts with her smile." Lily, curled against his side, was already dozing, her thumb in her mouth, Bunny tucked under her arm. Emily shared a little in return, her voice measured. She was a marketing coordinator at Harbor Tech, a mid-sized software firm downtown. The job paid the bills, but lately, it felt like running on a treadmill. Endless meetings, revisions, the quiet dread of layoffs hovering like storm clouds. Her boss had retired abruptly last month, and rumors swirled of a big shakeup. A new CEO, some hotshot from the East Coast, brought in to streamline things. Emily feared her department was first on the chopping block. She'd poured her heart into a campaign that bombed last quarter, all because of budget cuts she couldn't control. David listened without interrupting, nodding as if he understood the bone-deep fatigue of holding it together alone. "Sounds like you are carrying a lot too," he said. "What keeps you going?" She paused, staring into the fire's glow. "This house, I guess, and the idea that tomorrow's a fresh page." It was more honesty than she'd shared with colleagues in months. As the embers died to soft coals, Lily stirred, murmuring about dreams of chocolate rivers. David carried her upstairs to the guest room, its quilted bed welcoming like an old friend. Emily lingered in the hallway, the floorboards sighing under her bare feet. In the quiet of her own bedroom, Emily lay awake, listening to the rain's gentle patter. The house felt fuller tonight, less echoey. She pictured David in the room across the hall, his steady breathing a counterpoint to her racing thoughts. It was foolish, she not letting strangers in, sharing pieces of herself, but there was a comfort in it, a reminder that vulnerability wasn't always a risk. Morning arrived with a pale, watery light filtering through lace curtains. Emily rose early, the scent of fresh coffee brewing as she slipped into the kitchen. She scrambled eggs, toasted slices of sourdough, and sliced apples into wedges. A simple, nourishing. Footsteps descended the stairs, light and tentative. Lily appeared first, Bunny in tow, her curls a wild halo. "Good morning, sleepyhead," Emily said, kneeling to her level. "Hungry?" Lily beamed. "4 pancakes." "With the squishy things?" "Marshmallows again?" Emily laughed softly. "We can improvise." David followed, looking refreshed, his hair tousled but his smile genuine. "You didn't have to do all this." "Smells amazing." They ate at the scarred oak table, sunlight dappling the room through rain-cleared windows. Lily chattered about her bunny's imaginary adventures, her laughter a bright thread weaving through the morning. David helped with dishes, his sleeves rolled up, revealing forearms dusted with faint grease marks, marks of a man who fixed things with his hands. As they talked, Emily learned more. He'd grown up in a small Washington town, loved hiking the Olympics, dreamed of opening a garage someday. No mention of his past beyond Lily's mother, but the grief lingered in the pauses. a shadow that passed without darkening the light. The tow truck arrived at 9, a burly driver named Hank who promised to have the car purring by noon. David loaded their bags, Lily clutching a drawing she'd scribbled on Emily's notepad, a wobbly house with 3 stick figures under a rainbow. "For you," she said, hugging Emily's legs, "because you're nice like Mommy in stories." Tears pricked Emily's eyes as she knelt, smoothing Lily's hair. "I'll treasure it. Come back anytime, okay?" For more Cocoa adventures, David lingered on the porch, the air crisp with the scent of wet earth and pine. "Emily, thank you, for more than the roof. You gave us a safe harbor last night." His hand touched hers, a fleeting warmth. "If you're ever in Portland," she smiled, heart full and aching. "Safe travels, David. Take care of that sunrise of yours." They drove off, the truck rumbling away, leaving Emily on the step with the drawing clutched to her chest. The day stretched ahead of groceries, a walk in the drizzly, but she felt lighter, as if the storm had washed away some invisible grime. Monday morning dawned gray, the office buzz a stark contrast to the weekend's hush. Harbor Tech's open plan floor hummed with keyboards clacking and printers whirring. Emily arrived early, coffee in hand, bracing for the all-staff meeting. The new CEO's debut, Whispers said he was a wonderkind, fresh from Silicon Valley, all sharp suits and sharper cuts. She smoothed her blouse, the one with the tiny coffee stain she'd hidden with a brooch, and took her seat in the conference room. The murmur died as the door opened. In walked David Reynolds. Emily's breath caught, the world tilting. He looked different here, a crisp button-down, no stubble, confidence radiating like polished steel. But those blue eyes, the faint smiley unmistakable. Colleagues leaned forward, applauding as he took the podium. "Good morning, team," he began, voice steady and warm. "I'm David Reynolds, your new CEO. I've spent the last year rebuilding my life after personal loss, and now I'm here to rebuild with you." He spoke of vision, of innovation without sacrifice. "We're not streamlining by cutting hearts," he said. "We're investing in the people who make this company beat." Emily's mind reeled at David. The stranded father, was the hotshot, the one who'd pored over her late-night campaign reports without knowing her name. As questions flowed, his gaze swept the room and locked on hers. Surprise flickered, then softened into recognition, a secret shared in a glance. The meeting ended, and as the room emptied, he approached her desk, casual as if they'd planned it. "Emily Carter," he said, low enough for only her ears. "Marketing, right?" "Small world." She stood, pulse steadying into a calm rhythm. "David, or should I say, Mr. Reynolds?" The car troubly that wasn't. He chuckled softly, rubbing his neck just like in her kitchen. "Real as the rain. I was heading here for the final interviews when it happened. No fanfare, I wanted to see the city on my terms. And then, you." The air between them hummed, not with tension, but possibility. "Your campaign," he continued, pulling a folder from his briefcase. "The one from last quarter? I read it over the weekend. It wasn't a bomb, but it was bold. We just needed the right backing." Relief flooded her, warm as that morning's eggs. "You mean it's not scrapped?" "Not a chance. We're green-lighting it, with more resources. And I'd like your input personally." His eyes held hers, the father peeking through the CEO. "Dinner?" "To discuss. Lily's with a sitter Tuesdays." Emily nodded, the pieces of her life slotting into place like puzzle edges long lost. "I'd like that." Weeks blurred into a gentle rhythm. Davidino, David's world awoven to hers. Dinners turned to weekends, Lily's laughter filling the Victorian house, her bunny perched on the mantel beside Emily's photos. Harbor Tech thrived under his steady hand, layoffs averted, creativity blooming. Emily's campaign soared, but the real victory was quieter, the way David's hand found hers during movie nights, Lily asleep between them, the shared stories by the fire, grief and joy mingling like rain and sun. One evening, as October leaves painted the yard gold, they stood on the porch, Lily chasing fireflies in the yard. David turned to Emily, his voice a soft anchor. "I came here looking to fix a company," he said. "But you fixed something in me, in us." She leaned into him, the world vast and kind. "We fixed each other, one rainy night at a time." And in that moment, under the fading light, Emily knew, kindness wasn't just a light in the storm, it was the map home.